Hi, and this audio is all about the power of presence. And by taking these 20 minutes just to listen to me, you're giving yourself an experience of what it is to just let everything go. I don't know about you, but so much of our day-to-day lives are just full of busyness, but not just busyness on the outside, whether that's your work, your family, your other responsibilities, the things you're reflecting back on, what's just happened or going further back, or the things out in the future, in the coming days, weeks, months, years. How much of our time do we spend not tapping into that power to just be, to let go, to really experience life? So over the course of these 20 minutes with me, I'm just going to tell you a few stories and give you illustrations of what it is to be completely present, and why, when we are more engaged, when we are fully immersed in the moment, when we are in the flow of life, that makes a massive difference. So even now, just taking the time out to listen to this, you're giving yourself permission. Perhaps those distracting thoughts of, I haven't got time to be listening to this right now. Well, take that. Because I used to feel that all the time. To be able to say, I really want to just concentrate and focus on what I'm doing right now. And then we find ourselves distracted, whether we've got our phone on alerts or emails popping up, or there's external distractions. And then we draw some conclusion that, I cannot concentrate. I so cannot be in the present moment. We tell ourselves another story, and that's another story that will basically affirm itself and become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And all we're doing is repeating an old pattern, an old habit. And if any of this is resonating, it's because basically it's part of the human experience, I think, to get really caught up in the content of our minds, in the contents of our thinking, to start wrestling with that, start trying to change it, to understand it, to control it. And all we're doing is adding layer and layer and layer and layer of thought upon our experience. But when we step out of that process, that narration, that story, what is left? Well, all that's left is experience. Experience in the moment. So I want you to imagine a time where you were fully immersed. Whatever those distractions were, the internal ones within your head, or the external ones in your circumstances, they all basically disappeared temporarily. You were fully engaged, fully absorbed in life. A phrase you may have heard before about being in the flow of life. In the zone is the phrase used in sports. And now we talk about it in leadership. We talk about it in parenting. We talk about it in being all we can be. Tapping into that potentiality to be all we can be in the present moment. So when we begin to talk about the power of presence, we're beginning to tap into something that is always there. It is ever present. It's available to you in real time. But what do we do? How do you take yourself away from that experience? You may already be saying, yes, but Lawrence, I've got a busy life. I've got a lot to think about. And I understand. We've all got a lot on our plates. All juggling 1,000 balls. But I want you to begin to consider that whilst our circumstances can be very challenging, when we get fully immersed in the content of our thinking and we believe that it's our job to navigate the content of our busy mind, we're actually compounding the problem and moving away from the solution, the clarity that we most need. So when people come to me and they say, well, I've got all these problems, all these challenging circumstances, well, the first place to start looking is how we are looking at the world and how busy our minds are. Because I don't know about you, but I've never really been able to think my way to clarity, to see that bigger picture. Just imagine just rising above the circumstances of your life right now. What happens when you take that bird's eye view? Yeah, you create distance. There's space. And what becomes possible in that space? When we have such a busy mind, what do we block off? Well, I think we block off that intuition, that insight, that ability to navigate the circumstances. Because what's the opposite? We get subsumed by it. We get overwhelmed. And there's various strategies. It's like a roller coaster ride. Do you hang on for dear life? Do you grip even tighter? Or do you just let it happen and begin to go with the flow? Because if you think about it, as soon as you say, oh, I need to be more in the flow of life, well, the first question to ask yourself is, what is taking you away from your capacity to access that state of flow? To roll with the punches, to ride that roller coaster, to be buoyant, to stay afloat, and to be able to rise above. Well, from what I've seen, it's that power that you've got inside of you, I've got inside of me, we've all got inside of us, and it's always available to us to be present to our experience, to not resist our experience. So think about young children, when you see them playing, when they're immersed in their experience. I do this in my workshops. I ask my groups to list the qualities you see in those young children. And often they'll come up with the most amazing adjectives that for me describe that flow state, that they are completely immersed in their experience. They're absorbed in what they are doing. They have a curiosity. There is a freedom there. There is an openness. There is a willingness not to judge experience, not to measure experience, but truly to be in experience. Yes, they are learning machines. They are constantly experimenting. They are free of those judgments. They're not measuring. How well am I doing? And that comes later as we begin to create the concepts against which we measure how well we're doing in life. One of those concepts is this concept of me and I, concept of self. And once we begin to do that, we turn it into a thing, something that maybe needs to be protected, or something that needs to be refined, something that needs to be improved. And that creates a lot of work. How much work do you believe you have to do to be all you can be? Because I want to bring you back round to that immersive experience of being present, being open, being curious. And why? Well, from where I've looked in life, that's where my creativity lies. That's where my resilience lies. That's where my capacity to deal with my circumstances truly lies. And in those moments, when I begin to let go of the need to control, then let go of the need to know, let go of needing to feel better, it creates a huge space, an infinite space a space of potential. And that is the power of presence. When we are truly present. Think about it. How much of your life do you spend thinking about that future that is yet to happen? All those endless scenarios you create in your mind, trying to work life out. And you could maybe end up justifying, yeah, but this is worthwhile doing. Sure, we all need to plan. And it's wonderful, isn't it, to have that power to imagine, to create those different worlds. But when they dictate how we feel, when they begin to control us, we give our power away. We're basically hypnotized by the images we create in our mind, forgetting that they are not reality. They're just an imagined reality. And they are taking us away from the present moment. But that's just an illusion. It's like a gift, isn't it? You've been given the gift, the same gift as me, to be able to imagine anything and treat it as real. You've been given the gift to create a concept, an image in your mind, and treat it as real. You've been given the gift to believe something that you know actually deep down is not fundamentally true or not actually useful to you. But you've been given the gift to believe it. So what could you do with that power? That gift you have inside you? Because just as we get trapped in our stories about the future, well, think about where that narrator got his script from. Got it from the past. Old stories. The past effectively acting as a distorting filter through which you see both your present experience of life and the future. See how that unconscious pattern that makes up the story of you dictates how free you are. But perhaps we look at it in the wrong way. Perhaps we're hijacked by a misunderstanding. And perhaps there's another way of seeing things. So right now, as you listen to me, if you just notice how you're feeling, if you are absorbed in this present moment, just be aware of your experience. Be aware of how you're feeling. Gently observe the content of your mind. Because from what I've seen and something I share with people all the time, when my mind begins to quieten down, that creates space. Because maybe at the start of listening to this audio, you had a busy mind. Just like, imagine a snow globe. A snow globe I use in my teachings all the time. Full of the snow. And what do we do so much of the time? And hopefully I've been illustrating to you. We shake that snow globe. All that noise in the system. All that busyness. We think it's our job to try and navigate it, control it, to make sense of it. When what do we want? Well, one of the unifying wants I see in my work is we all want some peace of mind. Now, maybe that's not a permanent state to aspire to, but from what I've seen, when I spend more time not trying to fight against my experience, not trying to control my experience, clarity emerges, peace of mind emerges, and that snow globe that so many of us just shake in an attempt to suppress and control and reduce its impact on us. When we just let it be, when we're just okay with what is, when we are truly expanding into our experience in the moment, where anything can be allowed, that snow globe of the mind begins to settle down. So when we are truly present to our experience, when we're truly present, we're not judging it, we're accepting it. We're not measuring or trying to make sense of it. We're allowing it. And that is an expanding, opening, allowing you to step beyond the boundaries. Because if you think about it, the opposite is based on using old patterns, old thoughts. What's gone before to dictate how you will experience life now? Well, imagine those times when things do quieten down, when you have that quieter space within you, where whatever is happening on the outside does not have the power to dictate how you feel. That's the power of presence showing up for you right there and then. And so when people say to me, it's like, well, what do I need to do to get into this state more often? Well, I'd like you to maybe spend some time after this, and if you listen to this again, get really curious about the power of presence is always available to you. That power of presence is there if you are willing to step into that unknown, to let go of that narration of experience that dictates so much of your day-to-day lives. And I'd like you to begin to wonder what becomes possible when you let go of needing to know, of not needing to know what's going to happen next, or when you have that sense of urgency. Yes, but I need an answer. Why do you need an answer? And why do you need it now? When you begin to slow up, you can become more present. And it's in the present moment that new insights come. Because where else do they come from? They don't come from the past. They don't come from the future. They don't time travel. They appear in the now. That's the power of presence. And when there is more space, less noise in the system, well, it kind of makes sense. There's more space for them to arise, for you to see them. Insights to emerge. Insights, sights from within. So I'd like you to just take some time after listening to this recording to reflect on what it would do for you to not seek to control your experience, to truly immerse yourself in the moment without the need to know how long it will last, and is this a good feeling, without measuring it. And see what shows up for you. Because from what I've seen, when we begin to open up, when we fully engage in life without trying to measure or get somewhere, things begin to happen for us. And that is a state of being. We're human beings, not human doings. So that childlike curiosity that maybe can open up for you again, if you can cultivate that day to day, maybe it can compound over time. And if this for you begins to open up a new door, well, what do? Well, the choice is there, isn't there? To walk through that door and experience that new space that it opens up. And I don't know what's beyond that space. Maybe there's new doors. So the power of presence lies inside of you. It lies inside of you and is available to you at any moment. So enjoy the exploration. I hope you found this a useful recording to listen to, and keep exploring your experience in the moment. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.